weekend, left them scrabbling for the draw. That ruthless edge, perhaps the one missing piece of the puzzle. A couple of X-factor moments from Danny Cipriani over the last couple of weekends. 2 Man of the Match awards, 2 extraordinary passes. And the Cherry and White campaign is up and running, that's for sure. Charlie Sharples starting again, which has surprised quite a few. Tom Foley is our referee this evening. So Gloucester know they can go top of the Gallagher Premiership table tonight if they put their close neighbours in their box. Equally well, they will be very wary of the bloody nose they could suffer if they don't adopt a cutthroat approach towards the Bristol Bears. Madigan, very, very deep. And the first touch for Pelledri, who will just relish all the rough stuff around the fringes. Only half an hour in action last week, Pelledri, but beating a staggering number of Bath defenders in that short time. Franco Murray starting at hooker. First start for him for the South African.
Use it! Let's go!
And Brayley goes to the air. Sharples chasing hard, and Piers O'Connor measuring it nicely. Randall for Vui. Madigan through the midfield and away for Morahan, who enjoyed such a spectacular Premiership debut at Ashton Gate on that opening night. Vui again in the midfield, and immediately adventure here from Bristol. That's loose for Edwards. Plenty to do from here. Flattened by Murray. Bristol have gone well back behind the gain line here. Madigan again, keen to put the ball through the hands rather than opt for anything more pragmatic. Joe Joyce goes to ground. PC again. And Pietau for O'Connor.
No!
Chris Vui.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking
receiver
about
on a regular basis now, Flats.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll make a break and score now, and I'm saying this, but it becomes predictable if you're going to run from everywhere. These guys are fresh. These Gloucester defenders are fresh. They're well practiced. This is the most organised and bouncy they will be in defence for the whole game. So it just doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, they're
running and running and running.
Aren't they? They're 22, and it's exciting. It might pay off, but it is also flirting with trouble as Smith goes over the 22.
Lovely offload mine from Pietau.
Randall charged down by Slater. It's there for Madigan now, looking for Edwards. Cherry and white shirts everywhere, though. Lung-busting opening passage of the night.
Use it!
Surely
Inside.
Bristol, having made no headway from this position, will opt for the sanctity of the touchline, and Randall charged down for a second time. Slater all over the youngster.
Oh, as you look at those 2 box kicks getting charged down, all right, you can argue he might need more blockers, but weren't they quite low in trajectory, quite easily charged down, those?
Yeah, they're relatively low, and also his technique, he goes sideways rather than backwards. He's just got to give himself half a yard more. That comes with experience. It's not easy when you're under there because it feels like the whole ruck's on top of you if you stand too close.
Start the gap.
What do they do here, Bristol? Do they tap and go? 10 metres out?
Come on, lads, have a go.
Just a free kick.
Well, they've decided that it will be Madigan to send it into the stands. Harry Randall, just 20 years old, and it is Madigan who has a little dart.
I love it. Do you reckon he heard us?
It's not that far.
He's got an earpiece in. Direct to you, Flats. You'll be scrimmaging next.
Madigan again. It's
there we go.
It's cavalier.
No, didn't survive. Taken off his feet.
I wonder what sort of questions it raises regarding the surety of their set piece. That was ripped to the ground. Randall is positioned again. Madigan now, oh, he's off again. This time just buying himself a handful of yards, knowing that the offside line has been breached.
Oh, silly penalty to give away. You've got so much pressure on. It's the last thing you need to do. Bristol aren't really threatening this Gloucester defence anywhere. You say it was Cavalier is a bit more of a crusade, I think, and you can only win a crusade if you've got a bigger army. And currently, doesn't look like it to me. In your 22, away from home. Okay, back yourself, but geez. There's a real balance between backing yourself and committing Harry Carey. It's just a crazy start from Bristol. Here's an example of it. This is what they're looking for. They're looking to try and get to the corner. Now, that's okay, but if you're playing 10, 15, 12 metres behind where the previous ruck was, it's difficult. There's the corner. They're trying to get round the last man. Now, if they're a little bit more precise, it is on, and their play is quite nice up to that point. But we saw it against Saracens. We saw it against Bath. They find themselves oh so deep out wide that they can't execute the corner. If they can remedy that, yes, they've got a really good chance to get there.
Siali Piatau over the gain line. Randall, quick ball for Moulton, former Exeter man. Good leg drive as well, approaching the 10-metre line. Slater everywhere in these early exchanges and winning the turnover.
Well, that's 2 charge down. I think both of them were Slater, weren't they? At least one of them was. Yep. And a turnover in the middle of the field. That's your modern-day big banger, ladies and gents. Doing the skillful stuff, doing the precise stuff.
Pivotal signing. Ed Slater, one of those brought in from Leicester just to provide a bit of savvy Premiership nous.
I'm not sure he was brought in. I think he was offered for Johnny May.
Yeah,
he was sent, and I don't think it went down very well with him, and he used it to his advantage. And Leicester look back on it now. Do they think they should have kept him?
Yes.
I'd have kept him.
Of course you would.
Every day of the week.
Yep. I don't reckon there's a club in the Prem that wouldn't want him, frankly.
There he is again. Climbing up to gather it in from Murray. And now the boot is on the other foot for Bristol. Gloucester ball in hand. Trying to build. The ball, though, not overly secure by the look of things.
It's not brilliantly set up, that, by Gloucester, and it's well disrupted by Bristol. Jan Thomas did a good job, got his head inside and underneath. That's where Ackerman's so good, creating momentum from nothing.
First sight of Gerbrand Grobler. Ball in hand. Premiership debut for the South African. To the short side they go. Pelledri riding the tackles. Another big strong surge from Slater. White bodies all over the floor, and on this occasion referee Tom Foley takes exception.
Yeah, George Smith will feel a bit aggrieved there because Slater got long in the ruck. He went out the other side, but the Bristol guys, Lamb on the other side, didn't roll away quick enough to allow the clear out on Smith. There's a good example of it. He tries to get the offload, gets long. Smith's over the ball. Yes, he can compete. We know what he's like, but if you look at the clear out guys, their legs are really long. Grobler there, not able to get his shoulders close enough to clear him. And that's because the guys are lying on the wrong side. Good decision from the referee.
Red card last week, rescinded at the hearing, a hearing in which he arrived with a ball and gave something of a tackling masterclass to explain just exactly why the officials had been inaccurate at the outset. Nevertheless, I think given the way the referees are approaching high tackles at the moment, he probably can consider himself a lucky boy.
They bring it down and pop, just get the timing right.
A meticulous preparation and the desired result from Billy Twelvetrees. Had to measure up that last conversion carefully, didn't he, at the rec last week. It was Ngimi to secure the draw after the Banahan late try, and he's been in excellent form from the tee. Dovetailing nicely as well in the early part of the season with Danny Cipriani, that 10-12 axis working nicely. Jack Lamb brushed away by Polledri.
Tackle was fine.
And Cipriani asking quite a lot of 12 trees there.
He's offside. Looked like great defence from Tusi-Pisi. He read that really nicely out the back. But one of the reasons he was there was because he was offside. I thought they might tap and go from here.
Danny strangely taking the wrong decision on the pass there. The short ball looked like it was on as they came around the corner off the forwards. Tried to get it out the back, but it was red. As it comes from Slater here, that ball there, the short ball's the ball. It's an inside shoulder tackle. Ackerman at least makes 5-10 yards, and then you go again because you're all the way behind the Bristol pack. He runs some really clever lines. We saw one last week from him. Reminds me of Flats in his prime.
I think in my prime, if I played against 8-year-olds, I still couldn't do that.
We're level on the scoreboard. Madigan notching the Bears' first points of the night. A thoughtful Pat Lamb looking on. Happy memories, of course, of their last West Country derby, that opening night which set them up for this campaign. All taken in by Siali Pietau. Charles, by the way, his brother, will be back in action in the first week of European action, all being well.
No, it's not.
Smith.
Tackle!
Madigan. Lamb for PC. Randall searching for it. And there's red shirts all across the way. Just that little bit of indecision that can cost them. Whipped away from the base this time around. Madigan from Pietau to Smith.
No 14, get out,
Luatua. Edwards. Shot down by Brayley. Luatua. Oh, Moulton not expecting that at all, and Ludlow was onto it. Then it's been pinched back by Smith. The smallest of glimpses of the kind of things that George Smith does. Digging his team out of immediate danger. Randall again to this short side. Moulton, Arfoa, Joyce. Moulton on the carry. No change out of the Cherry and White defence. Again, it's Grobler who's in there, right at the forefront. Good pick up from Madigan. And touch is found from just outside. They want to take it quickly.
Well, it's kind of the same old story. We're only a few minutes in. It's a bit loose from Luatua on the near side. That's a skill error. But if you're going to run it out from here against an organised, fresh defence, you better be organised. And you see Harry Randall coming right to left from a breakdown, looking up. The reason he gets snagged, it's not his fault, it's not indecision. There's no options unless he passes it 10 metres back to a stationary Lucid prop, to a stationary Jan Thomas. If you're going to play from deep, you need options. You need to be really, really fit and really, really organised. Looked a bit loose from Bristol, that.
Polledri sets off Brayley, 12 trees. Not being terribly careful over their own ball here, Gloucester. Ludlow straightening. Brayley for Balmain.
Two, get out. Good work.
Murray. Brayley again, 12 trees. Good line speed from Bristol, closing down that space early. Cipriani looking to find those holes. It's gone forwards. Bristol will breathe again.
Good defence from Bristol, really good. Taking the space, then holding their line, particularly in that 13 channel where Cipriani likes to play. You see him come into position in the backfield, Cipriani. Then he looks to create people through the middle. Doesn't care who the runners are.
Once you've gone, okay.
So Franco Murray, one of the South Africans arriving on the scene. Of course, they've still got the likes of Jaco Kriel and Franco Mosta to come. Some big old chunks in that Gloucester pack these days. As strong as they've ever looked, really, in the last few years, certainly. So don't forget, this the first of our offerings across BT Sport this weekend. Queen's Bath tomorrow from 2:30. Matt Banahan will be with us on BT Sport 2 and 4K UHD. All the highlights of round 3 tomorrow, 9:30, BT Sport 2. And then at the Rico on Sunday afternoon from 2:30. Wasps in 5th against Leicester in 6th. And Rugby Tonight's back on tour on Wednesday from 10:15 p.m. We're at Clifton RFC, where we'll be joined by that man Ian Madigan and Stephen Luatua, the Bristol skipper, this evening. Sarah and Ugo will be entertaining the pair of them, and we look forward to your company too Wednesday night.
Bristol!
Good solidity in the first instance from Bristol, then trouble again at the base. Ludlow all over it like a rash. Cherry and white shirts pouring forwards. Pellegrini shipping it for Murray. Bristol on the scramble. And the pass is inaccurate, and Sharples has to make a tackle now with Bristol back in possession. Just a little sloppy with the try line beckoning.
It did get a bit frantic, didn't it, when they got near the try line? Really good pressure from the Gloucester pack. Fraser Balmain prominent. Wasn't an enormous shove. Didn't travel forward a mile, but you just see Jan Thomas being driven backwards last minute, last second by Fraser Balmain. That ruins the delivery, ruins Randall's life at 9 for those few seconds, and gives Ludlow a head start on a bouncing ball. Really, really good disruption, primarily from Balmain.
Madigan with no angle at all. And he's taken them up to the 10-metre line, which will provide some sort of relief. And given that their try line was under siege just a few moments ago, that'll be a good result for the Bears. Taken in by Joyce. Randall whips it across the face, and many of the Kingsholm crowd weren't happy at the nature of the pass, but on we go. This is Moulton. Madigan, it's time for PC. Vui. Randall to the short side, and 12 Trees wasn't far away from that. Chris Vui for Smith. Madigan. Got some numbers here, Bristol, if they can work it. Piatau from O'Connor to Lamb and Edwards. Good cover defence from Gloucester. Vui again in the midfield. He's enjoying his playmaking role. Grobler grappling with Arfoa. The ball loose. Madigan dribbles it through, and Luatua is it's magnificent. Morahan's on hands, but there will be one giant thank you to his captain, Stephen Luatua. Okay. Bristol with the opening score of the night. It will require a little check from our TMO tonight, Sean Davey.
That's absolutely brilliant skill from Madigan. Sees the defensive line coming forward. Luatua has the angle, not necessarily the pace to beat Gloucester out wide, but the kick is absolutely perfect. Pops up at just the right time. He arcs his way in. Great offload. Is that offload forward? That's the question. Morahan with a great supporting line. Finds himself inside the ball. Comes from the other side of the ruck. Makes up the ground. That's the question. Is that pass forward?
Here's the angle. Great skill.
Oh, it's close.
I mean, he's moving forward at the same rate as the ball, so I reckon if you support Gloucester, you say that's forward. I don't think that's forward.
The try's been awarded, and Morahan will be delighted with it. Man of the match in round 1 at Ashton Gate, and making his mark here at Kingsholm 2. Well, now we have a game. Gloucester 3, Bristol 10. Morahan with the try. Oz.
I'll just give you another angle of the kick. It's just such a good kick. He brings the defence forward. Look, the numbered 3-on-3, one on the outside, you could argue. It's the angle of both the kick and then the arc in from Luatua to get back to the ball. That little final step there and the offload. Fair play, Bristol. You back yourself. They get some points on the board. Gloucester look rattled.
Great stuff, that. What a try.
Randall for Moulton, who's getting through a lot of carrying work early on. Bristol with all the ball at the moment, even if much of it has been in this area of the field on their own 22. They're enjoying the possession.
On feet now. Thank you, 6.
O'Connor. Bright game against Saracens last week, the Bristol fullback. No one really on the chase there from the Randall box kick. This is Banahan wrestling with Morahan. Heavyweight contest on the wing.
It's a freebie here for Gloucester. Yeah, Randall didn't recognise that Morahan was in the previous ruck, so he had no one to chase the box kick.
Started okay, just written up.
Yeah, high challenge is the reason for the penalty.
You don't often see a 9 box kick when there's no one to chase it. Is it because because he's young and he's learning, 9s would normally see that Morahan's on the floor, your chaser's on the floor, or because when your chaser hits the deck, he lets him know where he is?
I think a bit of both, particularly if you've got a young 9, you shout there's no box, or whatever call you have.
Former Gloucester man, Harry Randall,
You stay there.
caused havoc in the championship with Hartpury. He's 5'6", he's only 69 kilos. The S&C staff have just said,
Shut up.
Eat, eat, eat.
Should be a cyclist, not a rugby player.
My dog's heavier than that.
On come the Bears again. Pietau for O'Connor. Edwards. Trinder on the chase here. Makes the tackle, but excellent ground gain by Bristol. Randall. Moulton. They're finding the holes here, Bristol. Madigan warming to his theme. Vui, surrounded by cherry and white shirts. He's finding yet more space. Quick handling.
Bit too quick.
Moulton
That's what happens when forwards get involved.
running out of room.
I like the way Moulton looks at Ryan Edwards. He's about half a metre. He's flung a pass straight into touch. Looks at him like, you idiot, where were you?
In touch.
Yeah. I wasn't waiting for the ball, that's where I wasn't. But Bristol that was lovely from Bristol down the left. They do look a lot more dangerous when they're on an edge. We talked about the lumpy Gloucester pack. Well, they're all largely littered across the midfield, so Bristol aren't making great yards to the middle. Move it to an edge, they look way more threatening.
Right. You stay on that in a reasonable gap. In you come. Oh.
Murray to Slater. Gloucester could do with a bit of order being established here, certainly in their own half. They've won the penalty.
Entry to ground.
So let's have a word with Tim Taylor, who's the backs coach with Gloucester Rugby. Tim, an interesting first quarter. Bristol 10-3 up. And would it be fair to say the Cherry and Whites are a little profligate with their chances, with their possession?
Oh, look, yeah, Bristol have held the ball very well. They've ran it from everywhere and they've held the ball well. But on our side, we've not held it well. We just need to get into the game now, hold on to the ball, carry hard, clean hard, and build some phases.
They're going from anywhere and everywhere, aren't they, Bristol? Were you expecting that?
Yeah, no, absolutely, especially from watching them in previous games. They're not afraid to run it from their own line. So and they're good at it. So it's important that we're alive for it. And just like now, we just need to build a bit of pressure now.
Okay, thanks for your time, Tim.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Do you know what? I think he's right. I think they are good at it. The first 5 or 10 minutes, it doesn't look great. It looked a bit basic, looked too easy to defend. They seem to have worked it out. They seem to be thinking on their feet. They're a bit wider. They're a little bit flatter when they're out wide, which makes it a lot harder to defend, a lot less time to recover. It looks like, as a team that wants to run it from everywhere, they are kind of evolving before our eyes.
But they are doing little things really well. Piers O'Connor in that last break did something that you don't see from a lot of fullbacks. You look at the drift from Gloucester here, they're all coming to the touchline, there's nowhere to go. Unless you get to the outside of the drift and keep running. Piers O'Connor, some fullbacks are just past that and stop, but he keeps running, gets outside Sharple, so he's the last man, can't tackle into touch. They make another 25 metres. Really clever play from the young fullback.
Playing his rugby for Ealing last season in the Championship. Here's 12 trees. Really good tackle from Smith. Showstopper, wasn't it? Right on the gain line. And then again, Gloucester overrunning the ball via Grobler. Charlie Sharples happily restored to fitness after that sickening knockout last week. And space here, huge numbers to the left for Cipriani to exploit. Woodward. The offload's a good one. Trinder alongside. Somehow Bristol have numbers back. They've worked very hard to get into position here. Grobler freeing up the arms. Brayley. Cipriani. And they weren't happy with the midfield situation there. Tom Foley not interested.
That's a penalty. It's a tackle against Woodward. It's been reversed for complaining, but it is a clear penalty. You can't tackle another player off the ball if he hasn't got it.
Penalty's in the middle. He'll be in the middle.
And he's got right to feel aggrieved.
In the middle, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, but that's a hit. There's two guys have hit him. They've got no right to touch him in that scenario. They both move offline. Randall gets his arm out. It's a penalty, a clear penalty.
But it's reversed because he said what you said to the ref at high volume.
It's a restart, so it's in the middle of the 22. Okay, let's go. Penalty. It's a penalty. Here.
They're just checking. Gloucester checking it's not a restart.
Is it a restart or is it a penalty? Yeah. Yes, it's a restart. It's a penalty. I think lads don't know what's going on there.
Restart the game with a penalty. It's not a dropout.
Well, left if it had pulled him back there. But as they make the break, it's a nice little break. The ball potentially could have gone to the outside. Woodward steps underneath. Maybe if it had stayed out, they'd have had 3-on-1 in the wide channel, but it was good cover defence from Bristol that forced Gloucester back to the inside.
Worked really hard, didn't they, Bristol, to get back into position. Vui for Randall, who's got Pelledri right in his face.
There's one bloke you don't want, is that bag of spanners, isn't it? Tiny little bloke, Randall, not his fault, that absolutely ragdolled.
I think that's the concern long term. I'm sure he'll put on a little bit of size, but you don't want to lose the impish nature of what Harry Randall does. But this is a rough, tough league, and
if he's good enough, it won't matter, Ali.
Let's hope that's the case. Austin's not so sure. Vui for Moulton. And Morahan does well to keep that in field. Moulton is there alongside him. He's been busy, hasn't he, in this opening spell. Madigan. Joyce. Quickly through the hands of O'Connor, Pietau and Luatua lurking in those wide channels again.
I get a sense there's going to be a lot of drift tackling for Gloucester in the back wide areas today.
Can barely get their hands on the ball in a meaningful fashion here. Gloucester, Bristol dominating the possession, and Morahan setting off again. Cut down by Brayley.
See, when you're just chucking ball in, people think it's always more tiring to defend. It's not. When you're just chucking ball in, it's not that tiring. Because the tackles are easy, there's not a lot of thinking, there's not a lot of high-speed work. When you're getting stretched left to right like this, it becomes exhausting.
Not the best of kicks from Randall, gathered in by Banahan.
Skills.
That was brilliant from Madigan.
So he pulled the handbrake and slammed on all in one.
Yeah, had to, didn't it? Absolutely had to. This is Woodward, former Bristol man, of course. Ackerman.
That's good defence. Arpoa put them under pressure. Smith finished them off. Brilliant defence, that. Really good. It looks like a couple of fast guys flying up. Arpoa knows exactly what he's doing, making runners change direction. Smith finishing the job. Really, really sharp, that.
Isolated, holding on.
This will be the worry for Gloucester. We saw it last week. They were absolutely brilliant for about 38 minutes. And then they made two mistakes, conceded 7 points. Bath got back into the match. And we just started to see little bits of Gloucester from last season. The inconsistency, the lack of composure, the lack of control. And we've seen it in the first 20 minutes of today.
And Timmy Taylor's right. When they get the ball, because Bristol have had so much ball, And actually, they're beginning since after about 10 minutes from then on, the last 20 minutes or so, they've been really productive with that ball. When Gloucester get it, they think, finally, we're at home, we should have the ball more than this, we should have the ball more, we finally got it. It's quite difficult not to panic, you know, especially when Bristol are coming up with some good defence, with some decent hits, with some decent line speed. You feel under a lot of pressure when you finally get hold of the thing. The key is to finally get it and relax a bit.
A 10-point lead for the Bears at Kingsholm. It's gone a little quiet in these parts. Not from the Bristol fans. They're thrilled with what's happening, and they will be delighted with the way this return to the top flight is going. A lot of rugby to be played tonight, though. They will keep on coming. They will keep firing the shots. Pietà goes into contact. Ball is lost. Picked up by Honek. Again, Smith leading the charge defensively. Murray. That's a terrific carry from the hooker. Brayley. Smith again. 2 tackles in as many seconds. Penalty Gloucester.
Filling every single breakdown, aren't they, Bristol? Making Brayley's night one not to remember. You just got to relax, Gloucester, in that. Got a little bit more time than you think, and sometimes you get a bit worried about George Smith. And you think, oh, he's going to be over every ruck, and you end up messing your own ball up, which is what's happened on a couple of occasions.
Now this is interesting. 3 points on offer. Cipriani's tucked it into the corner and said, come on, time to sort this out now.
Well, we spent a good portion of that pre-match chat talking about the Gloucester forward pack. Bates described them as being a bit more nuggety than they used to be. I like that description. This is where, first of all, you need to be clear and accurate, precise, relaxed. Then you need to get it to ground and get nuggety if you want to get it over. See, overcomplicated, not simple.
Somehow the ball has not gone forwards. Banahan is battering his way through Madigan. Brayley pops it up for Slater. And now a little bit of patience required. Another penalty comes the way of the home side.
They rescued that nicely. It was a great carry from Banahan, wasn't it? Really, really powerful. They pulled it back there because that line-out went badly wrong. Banners wants to scrum. Of course he does. You're not in the front row, mate. All these forwards been tackling the last half an hour. All their lungs are back on their 10-metre line.
It's line-out time.
Stick him in there. See how he likes it, Ali. That's what I say.
He'd be all right. He'd be all right, I think. Something tells me.
Yeah, I think he probably would.
See your thighs lying all over the ball. Jackson
really enjoying life in Gloucester since moving. Bit of a lease of life. Loved his time at Bath quite naturally, but this a new chapter with new possibilities and real possibilities here for Gloucester. Slater to Ackerman. Bristol's counter drive very effective.
It is effective, and it's Gloucester moving backwards. They will look to rest. There's another shift drive, another complicated drive. They're worried about Bristol. That's what it says to me.
Bustling run from 12 trees. Brayley,
great tackle,
bringing in Slater.
Foa.
Yeah,
another tackle.
But look where Foa's lying.
Penalty given up.
Look where Smith is lying. There's a yellow card coming. It has to be.
Yeah, cumulatively, there have been a lot of infringements here from Bristol in this part of the pitch.
It's fine to have a contest, but that contest needs to be legal. He's not on the ball initially. He's then gone onto the ball to slow the ball down, okay? It's the third one in this area. They're only more than somebody might need a third.
Do you have a key word that you're using to...
I told him let go. I told him.
It's a warning. It's a warning only.
Have you got a key word we can listen for? Yeah, let go.
It's not so much
that's
letting
two words,
go.
Your Honour.
They are letting go. If we take a look actually at what they're doing, they know that Gloucester clear from behind the ball. Pat Lam and his coaches will have seen this. This is the example from earlier, Moulton. Watch what he does. Rather than roll to the side, he just slides backwards. What that means as a clear-out guy is you can't get your feet behind the ball, so you have to come to the side. Now, you know if your spine's not in line, you lose all your power. So if your spine's in line, you can power straight over the ball and clear the ruck. If your bum's out to the side, no matter how big you are, you can't move George Smith off the ball.
Yeah, if deliberate, it's very clever. If not, it's accidentally very clever.
It's definitely deliberate.
I've trained
5
for that.
rucks on the trot. Exactly what they're planning to do. The only one who can stop it is Tom Foley.
Both sides just maintain that
Now,
space.
who do you reckon's taught them to do that? Or is there a breakdown expert in the Bristol team camp? Don't know. Don't know.
If only we could find
Who's
one.
that? Yeah, maybe. Very clever.
So an interesting setup here behind the scrum for Gloucester. Options each way, clearly, for Cipriani. Woodward tucked in directly behind him, keeping the defences guessing.
Bind! Set!
Ackerman, Brayley, 12 trees. Again, Gloucester threatening. They're close by. Ackerman, if he'd been a little smarter and quicker, might have got the ball down earlier. Instead, it's loose. And again, coughing up important possession. They've reasserted themselves and they're ready to go.
Cracking hit from
Proving
Bowie, that on the line.
mighty difficult. The offside line being breached with every carry, but now the try line breached. Have Gloucester been held up?
I think Pelledri's got hold of that. I think he's gone over the line. It's whether or not he's got it down.
Up we get. Guys, up we get.
Great defence from Bristol. Arguably, Joyce rolled back through the ruck again. But wow, we saw it against Bath, didn't we, at home?
Try yes or no, please.
Try yes or no.
Try yes or no.
We saw the defence at home at Ashton Gate on the line. Monumental. And again, Vui's hit, Flats,
hit.
was just insane.
What a hit. So much aggression, so much power. This isn't it, it's the one before it. It is Pelledri. Very, very powerful. He's carried really nicely whenever Gloucester have had the ball. You can hear him on the ref mic every now saying on the ref mic, shouting, I want it, I want it, I want it. Such a keen, aggressive carrier. Don't know if he gets that down.
I think he might just get that down. Right arm carry to begin with. No. There's the ball there. I think that's a try.
Can't see it. What are you seeing that I'm not? I'll point to it for me, will you?
The ball.
Not as clever as you.
It's just there. I'm pointing at a screen. No one at home can see what I'm pointing at. But
the warning's now
he's pointing to that bloke with the rugby shirt on, everyone at home.
Rugby shirt, red ball, line.
No?
There's the ball there. Up behind the fingers with the white tape on.
Time's off. What I've told them,
When he first lands, it doesn't go down.
Try we go back to the penalty for 7.
That doesn't say anything.
Their warnings now become a general warning, not just breakdown.
Tom, hi. It's nothing clear and obvious. There's no clear grounding.
Okay, nothing. We're coming back to the penalty.
Right, well, that's another penalty.
No, you're not going anywhere.
No try for Pelledri this time.
Offside.
Well, shouldn't that be a card at this point, having had the warning a few moments ago?
Well, they've only conceded 8 penalties in 30 minutes, so yes, it should be.
There's a perennial threat. Look at the fun that's being had in the front row there, Flats. You'll be loving that. Jonathan
it's
and
great.
Josh Honeck having a whale of a time.
This is what you want, because every scrum's a special occasion, but the ones 5 metres out from your line or theirs, better than weddings and funerals, Al, I tell you. It's the best, especially when you're against one of your best mates. It's the best, absolute best.
Bind. Set.
Gloucester with half-time approaching, needing something. Ackerman. 2 tries last weekend. It's there for Brayley. Here's Slater.
Just for that ball needs to move a bit quicker, don't you? Did last time too, just get rid of it.
It's a try all day long for Banahan if they go left.
Brayley again, now some width potentially. Cipriani. Woodward is stopped in his tracks. Look at the commitment from Bristol here.
It's also well organised.
Swarming everywhere. Murray. Gloucester have gone right back some 10 metres or so, and they've knocked the ball off. And Bristol are celebrating.
Look, the key tackle for me. Sorry, Al. The key tackle for me was one phase ago. Pietau. He wasn't coming out the line. It wasn't reckless. You're right. There's loads of commitment. There's loads of aggression. They're piling in, but they're in the right places. It's clever. It's organised. This is a really good tackle on Woodward. Tusi piles in. Who do you not want piling in when you're already caught? Tusi were really well dealt with. Knock Gloucester back. They've got to come back all the way back and start from scratch then. No momentum. Really good D. Really good.
Well, they may have transgressed a few times, but you can see the heart and soul, can't you? You can see the resolve of these Bristol players to fight for every scrap of ground.
Okay, guys.
By the way, before anyone pulls me up on social media about celebrating funerals, I was brought up to celebrate people's lives at funerals. Thank you very much.
Why, have you had some criticism already?
No, I will have. I'm just predicting. My phone's been buzzing.
I didn't think it had got through that quick when I
My
pressed
phone's
send.
been buzzing. Yeah. Lats loves funerals. It's the bit afterwards. It's, yeah. The wait. The party. Will you come to mine, Oz?
Definitely, mate.
Well, we will now.
Will you not do that speech I saw you do a couple of months ago in London?
I'm not carrying, though. There's no way I'm carrying.
I want you and Babes carry my coffin, please. Is this getting a bit macabre now?
Very.
It's coming to us all. Anyway, move on.
John, Josh, higher, please.
You've gone from glass half full to glass half empty quite quickly. Right then, less than 5 minutes remaining in this half. And as we saw a little moment or two ago, huge amount of possession inside Bristol territory. And yet they're the ones who have a 13-3 lead.
Number 2.
Free kick to Gloucester.
Take another one here.
So that's fine, then you've just gone through. Who went through?
Just looking at why it didn't work before. This is Gloucester flustered. Danny Cipriani's in the pocket there. He just needs that pass and they walk over in the corner. Watch what happens after that. Now this tells you more of a picture. What you can't do with Danny is cut off his outside by standing too flat on him. If you stand too flat on him, he has to pull the ball back. He knows the pass he wants to make, but if there's someone in the way, can't make it. Now that tells me that Gloucester are flustered. They're going to go in at half-time. They're going to play down the slope in the second half. It's more of a blue run. And then they've got a chance to get back into it, but they have to relax because Bristol currently are on top in attack and defence.
Yep, they're edgy. They're being made to be edgy, and even this scrum isn't working particularly well either. Bristol will be delighted with that.
Really good. Jan Thomas loves that against his old club. A lot of talk of Arfoa. Jan Thomas was here a lot longer than Arfoa was. It means a lot to him, that. But for me, Arfoa did a lot of damage then. Jan Thomas has scrummaged really well the last couple of pressure scrums since Fraser Balmain did some early damage. Really good, but John Arfoa just rips through Honeck and Murray there. Not actually through, he forces, he gets a right arm down and forces Honeck across back into his own second rows and hooker. Really powerful from Bristol. They love that.
10-metre line, please, Gloucester.
He's never had so much fun.
I always think, though, don't celebrate a 37-minute scrum too hard. Celebrate the 79th minute one, or the one where you're just about to be subbed off because your mate's warming up on the sideline, he's got his warm-up vest off. Then celebrate, because you can't get caught.
Oh, that's loose. Murray's dropped it, but it's gone backwards, according to Tom Foley. So Bristol losing possession at the line-out for the first time tonight. Grobler, knocked forwards, and it's there for Bristol. O'Connor can't cling on. Sharples gathers it in. It's all a bit messy. Bristol will have the ball.
Yeah, what Grobler will give you is he's a big guy, but he's light on his feet and he gets through tackles, gets his long arms through tackles well. He's obviously got very big, grippy hands, so he can keep the ball in one hand like a cricket ball, but it does mean that when you hit hard and you hit from the side, it gets loose and you risk dropping that ball. So he's got his arms through a couple of times and no one's quite been on his shoulder. Not yet. That time went loose, coughed it up.
Just a shoulder for both of you.
Seven handling errors so far from Gloucester.
Let's go, Hunty.
It's not what we've come to expect in the first two rounds.
Crouch! Bind! Set! Bristol!
Randall, options being shut down, and he's half through the hole. Pelledri's onto it. He's made it almost to halfway. Joyce on the carry.
He's been pinned there by him, who play on.
Madigan, Lamb, and caught is PC. Smith tidying. Thomas. It's there for Ackerman now. Turnover ball for Gloucester. Maybe they can cling on to it for a few important phases here. The clock about to head into the red. Cipriani. Gallagher. Storming round the outside. Couldn't get it away to Brayley. It's gone forwards.
He was in touch anyway.
A rueful smile from Matt Banahan. It has not, very much not been Gloucester's half. They've had their shots, they've had their chances, they've squandered most of them. Bristol have taken theirs. They've scored the only try of the night so far through Morahan, and they lead by 13 points to 3 under the Kingsholm lights.
Yeah, got me, mate.
Well, Bristol loving life and leading, as they have at half-time in each of their 3 Premiership matches on their return to the top flight. Led at half-time against Bath by 6 points to 0, against Saracens by 18 points to 13, and here with a 10-point buffer. They are not following anybody else's scripts but their own. But here, potential trouble in the early stages of the second half. Ackerman securing possession for Gloucester. Brayley digging. Slater. Cipriani. Lovely ball and a wonderful line cut by Ludlow. Within 5 metres. Honeck. Brayley. Poised. Cipriani. Pellegrini. Just look at the raw power. Another burst from Grobler. Gloucester have their score. Intense right at the start of this second half. And it's Gerbrand Grobler on his Premiership debut.
Bang right, Al. Loads of intent from 12 trees and from Grobler, I think it was, from the kickoff. Put a good kick from Cipriani. Put Bristol under loads of pressure from the kickoff. Then it's momentum, momentum, momentum. So often we see Cipriani pull it out of the back. It's just choosing the right pass. Once or twice in the first half, didn't quite happen. It's just happened. Grobler gets the score, but how about, Al, you said it, the raw power of that Pellegrini carry. He is just so difficult to stop at close range. He's so strong, so bullish.
It's a great start for Gloucester. I think they might have got away with a neck roll by Ed Slater, though. 3 rucks before. It looked very, very close to me. But they got the momentum from the restart, didn't they? It's exactly what they would have wanted.
A big impression from the big South African. Served his 2-year ban between 2014 and 16 for steroid abuse whilst he was with Western Province. And a not dissimilar story to Johan Ackerman, actually, from back in the day. I think he recognised that there was plenty more to come from Grobler, who was remorseful about what had happened. I think forced into a situation that he didn't want on account of a rash of injuries. Not that these things are ever excusable, but he served his time and he's made an impact now for his new club. On the ball once again, Grobler. John Afoa has left the field for a head injury assessment as Cipriani again releases Ludlow. Those two combining brilliantly. Here's Banahan. Stopped in his tracks by O'Connor. Really good tackle from the Bristol fullback. Murray.
It's a reasonably direct carry, isn't it? Like it.
Just a different Gloucester in this second period already. Cipriani might just have overcooked that one.
It is. Great play from Cipriani to begin with, though. Getting them out of the 22. You watch he tracks Slater all the way around the corner. He gets the ball back from him. Then as he gets Ludlow through down the channel, I think Ludlow maybe just goes the wrong way. Pump the ball to the outside to Banahan. Pop it back inside to Cipriani. He's under the posts. This is the play. Slater and Cipriani linking really well. He accelerates, gets to the corner. This is really nice. If he pumps the ball to the outside now and goes inside, Cipriani scores. Great tackle though by O'Connor, wasn't it?
Really good tackle, that.
You see Banahan coming, you full tilt. You've got to have some cojones to drop him.
Or a cricket bat. Tranquilizer dart. Or cojones, yeah, you're right.
Crowd seem to have found their voice as well. A little bit to cheer about now as the scrum goes to deck, and the penalty has been given to Bristol.
Number 1, Graham.
Josh Honeck not impressed. Good distance made.
Use the 22, please, Ed. Guys, on the 22.
For the moment, Jake Armstrong on for Arfoa in the front row for Bristol, who are back in the business area again, and it's Luatua leaping for it. Randall to Madigan. PC for Pietau. Big tackle from Pelledri. Moulton leaves it hanging for Randall. Madigan. Oh, that's brilliant. Morahan's on the inside, but Tom Foley didn't like it.
Such a nice play. Lovely play. First of all, the wraparound. Gets Randall round the corner. The no-look pass, yeah, it is forward. But it was close.
Wasn't it lovely, though?
We didn't quite see it all there, but the first play from the midfield hit. All set up, it was pre-called from the line out. They switch back to the midfield. They get Pietau to the ground relatively quickly. Two forwards round the corner. They get the ball back into Randall's hands. This will show you it. Decent pass from Randall. Morahan runs a decoy line. They switch back in here. Gives the forwards an easier corner to get around. There's your two front rowers. Moulton then just lovely little lift. They're picking out the inside runner with decoy lines. That's backwards. It's one of the tries of the season.
Very marginal call, wasn't it?
So nicely coached. I think it was forward.
Scrum penalties coming thick and fast either way.
Funny, Honeck saying exactly the same as the last one. I'm inclined to agree. Went the other way. John Arfoa off. Don't know if that's permanent. Don't know if you've heard yet, Al, but it's not just in the scrum you miss a player like John Arfoa. Does so much with the ball. Such a good defender. Such a good athlete. Soft hands. Clever player. But yes, you miss him in the scrum. Of course you do.
Gloucester then with the line out in front of the shed. And we're beginning to make the sort of racket we expect from them. Murray eyeing up his man. It's Ludlow. The ball transferred neatly, and now the rumble. The arm outstretched. Cipriani. And Trinder couldn't find a way through. And that's a bit of petulance from Bristol. 10 further metres conceded. The ball booted away in frustration.
I don't think in the big picture it makes much difference. They're going to go to the corner either way, aren't they? It takes them up to 12 penalties in the game, which is...
That's a pretty big number after 46 minutes.
They've averaged 13.5 in the first two matches, so they're consistent.
We're thinking sort of a bit about the sort of values of the game and bigger picture stuff. We've seen penalties for kicking the ball away, penalties for instant back chat. Not back chat, shouting at the ref, telling him what to do. This is good stuff. This is good. We don't want this creeping into the game, and the refs have clearly had a chat about it.
Cherry White's poised to strike. Again, it's Ludlow. Pelledri. Extraordinary power from a standing start. And inch by inch, they're getting there. Grobler's waiting. And there's another penalty, and it is card time this time. Red last week rescinded. Yellow this time around. 10 in the bin.
Had to go, didn't he? Got told 3 times on the trot. I think he thought he was wearing that cape, that invisible cape that the All Blacks were.
Yeah, the one that McCall wore for best part of 12 years.
And Laura Filalio, let's have it right.
So a big moment. And Gloucester with a man advantage, looking to make hay. Again, the Foley arm is outstretched. Ludlow within a metre. Twelve trees. Cipriani, and round they go through Sharples. Gloucester coming loose in this second period. Charlie Sharples, falling victim to a horrible concussion last weekend, scoring for Gloucester this time out.
Gloucester in this second half so far are not panicking when they get the ball. The forward pack are giving them crushing momentum. This is what happens. Sharples running in, Cipriani delivering the final pass. Lovely pullback from 12 Trees. Morahan caught in no man's land. Nicely finished. Loads of power from that forward pack. Loads of power.
It's exactly what we spoke about in the demo before the match. If you're the third man, you can't blitz in and not get the ball. Morahan steps out the line. They're actually not too badly numbered, Bristol, that far from the line. But when Cipriani and Sharples are linked, that's the result. Little short pop pass, you're completely out of the defensive line, and there's 7 points under the posts.
Problem is, when you got a good fly off against you like Cipriani and you're on the back foot, you feel like you got to rush him, but he's so good when he's rushed. You feel like you stand off, you're in trouble, you rush, you're in trouble. You've just got to be so precise or you are in trouble.
Basically trouble all round.
Just trouble, trouble, trouble with a capital T. Speaking of trouble, there's trouble.
Smith trouble for Bristol. 14 men and conceding, and that's a lovely little offload off the deck, and Ludlow's coming to the fore in this second half, playing a very prominent role. Cipriani using Honeck and 12 Trees, and it's Gloucester's chance to put on a bit of a show. Ackerman bursting towards the 10-metre line. Pelledri whips it away. Cipriani, 12 Trees.
16.
Ludlow cleared out from the side there. They get away with it, Gloucester.
Cipriani, well, I don't know what that was, but it's worked out brilliantly. Woodward was onto it. Trinder is there.
I think it's called an accident. No.
Yeah. Well, you never quite know. Such has been his brilliance over the last couple of weeks. Here's 12 Trees again. Pelledri shaking off the defenders. Jack Lamb clinging on. Here's Banahan. Half through Morahan. And the ball booted away.
Frantic, it's come to life, hasn't it?
And I think we've gone up a couple of gears.
He'll claim it, but we know the truth. We will always know the truth.
Take a breather, guys.
This guy's incredible, isn't he? Pelledri, in terms of strength.
And you know what? The strength and conditioning guys at Gloucester say he's only just beginning, Jake Pelledri. He's been in their programme for 1 year only. And in terms of what his capacity might be, power-wise, strength-wise, over the course of the next 10 years, I mean, it really is, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, he's a big guy, but he's not a giant. He doesn't look like a gym junkie. He just looks very, very driven to not be put on the floor and strong enough to back up that drive.
Let's go.
Incidentally, I think this should be a Bristol line-out. I'm not sure who's been awarded the line-out. I think it's Gloucester, but I think the ball was actually booted in, went off Slater's arm, but semantics.
Let's go.
Pelledri, born in Bristol, of course, his dad, Pete, something of a Bristol legend, more than 450 appearances for Bristol back in the 90s. But his son performing well in cherry and white colours. And Gloucester back in possession. Brayley, Cipriani, Trinder. White shirts realigning as quickly as they can. And the ball has been coughed up. Balmain couldn't cling on.
Some hit from Harry Thacker.
And now they're going for it again. Morahan to Randall. Gets up and goes again.
No. Stay there too. Good work.
Full of tenacity, this Bristol outfit. Madigan eventually goes to the air, but Ruan Ackerman is waiting there. He's going to use Banahan.
No, he's not looking for it. Yeah, I agree.
Cipriani. 12 Trees. Nice arc from Trinder, but that didn't fall. It might well here for O'Connor. Had to stem his strides. And it's Randall who has it for Bristol, I believe. He's turned on the wrong side, though. He's done well.
Very well there, really brave. Good bit of skill from Woodward to free that ball up. That was super brave.
O'Connor must have thought he was away there for a minute. Nicely done by Joyce. At times, it's looking like Sevens rugby. That surely was forwards from PC. Tom Foley right on the spot.
Out the hand forward, then quick.
Good little foot race that between Morahan and Cipriani, even though it didn't count.
Time's off.
Yeah, you can see what BC is trying to do. Just get it in. Ackerman does just enough.
That's now, yeah, because you've got people down everywhere.
TCPC going strong at the age of 36. Outshone, of course, by George Smith at 38, who's still got another 4.5 minutes to serve in the bin. So round 3 continues, of course, tomorrow on BT Sport, on BT Sport 2 and 4K UHD. We're at the Stoop for Harlequins against Bath, 2:30 with Matt Banahan. And all the highlights can be seen at 9:30 on BT Sport 2 HD. Sunday, we're off to the Rico. Wasps against Leicester. Again from 2:30, BT Sport 1 and 4. And Rugby Tonight is on tour at Clifton RFC, where we'll be joined by Ian Madigan and Stephen Luatua.
Just talking about Matt Banahan there, just seeing how he mixes in with this Gloucester backline. I think he's on the wrong wing.
Both of you up. Both of you up.
I think he needs to be on the other wing. Most of the fast play comes to Gloucester's left. Sharples is a lot quicker than Banahan and would probably exploit those opportunities more. Their kicking game always goes down the right side. Banahan's brilliant in the air. I think they should swap wings.
Right in. Send your letters.
I've already sent a postcard.
There you go.
Dear Johan, I called him Mr. Ackerman. Obviously, I'm not on first name terms yet.
12 trees. Trinder. How good to see Trinder stringing together a decent run of games without injury. Brayley, Cipriani on the front foot here. Gloucester beginning to tick. Once more Pelledri. And the counter ruck.
No, round the side. Side entry, see where it was going, ended up looking really lateral, that from Lamb. Easy decision for Foley. You just think defensively Bristol need to get some bigger units around the corner quicker. So 2 of the last 3 tackles on big guys were made by 9 and 10, were made by, you know, smaller guys. You need guys wrapping around the corner and matching up.
But are you seeing that flash from the first half when they did all of that play in their own 22? Their front 5 guys, back row still going pretty well. Chris Vuri's covering a lot of ground, but everyone else starting to look a bit fatigued. They've probably already covered more distance than most front 5s would in a normal game because of the way they play in the first 20.
And only Harry Thacker has been changed in for Sean Moulton at hooker. Ludlow, the go-to man in the line out from this position, seemingly. It's looking very nicely controlled, this, from a Gloucester perspective. Brayley sharples in for a second.
Of course, we must bear in mind that Bristol are a world-class defender down, but that's very, very good mauling from Gloucester. Early on in the first half, especially, Bristol were really disruptive, and I felt that watching Gloucester, they were overcomplicating their line-out drive play, switching it and moving it. If you set it up well, it is very, very hard to defend. They've uncomplicated it, they've decomplicated it, if that's even a word. It is now in this second half. That makes it very easy for Sharples. Yes, Bristol are a man down, but they were under a lot of pressure because of that drive. It was very long drive as well, the long spine of it. Very difficult to get anywhere near that ball.
It's a big one for Charlie Sharples. It's number 50 in the Premiership for the Gloucester winger, who I think most people would have thought, looking at him lying prone last week, there was virtually no chance of him appearing here tonight at Kingsholm, but he's been through the return to play protocols and he's come out and scored a brace. Unfortunate from 12 Trees perspective, 22 points to 13, Gloucester in front.
This is what I like to see from a drive, actually. Too often you just keep going, but what they've recognised, Brayley, is that Luatua and Viri have got to get back in that drive. Both of them get behind the maul. It isolates Randall on the blind side, and they take advantage. Too often you just wait and keep going, and we've seen loads of mauls collapse or something happen, someone knock on the ball. Take your opportunity, take the points. Really clever play. This is interesting, taking both the half-backs off.
Yeah, we've got Randall and Madigan being replaced by Sturzaker and Sheedy for Bristol. Pellegri dismisses Thacker. The pass isn't quite so impressive.
Use the cut line.
Have a bit of that.
I think they said 7.
It's,
I will check them.
He's been hit hard a few times, actually. It wasn't one of the hardest hits. Lamb's hit him hard a few times, and Pat Lamb can really hit. This guy rides it better than most players in the Premiership. Real
Drop a
talent.
man, guys.
Just half a minute left on the George Smith yellow card. Thacker to the tail, that was nicely done. Sturzaker for Sheedy. And Pietau juggling.
It was nice from Pellegri, but it's very symptomatic of Gloucester. They do something really good, and then they make a mistake in their own 22 and apply pressure to themselves, rather than consolidating, clearing their lines. And if they do want to be a champion side, and I think everyone thinks they've got the potential to be that champion side this season, certainly in the pack, they've got some real talent behind. Composure carries you often a lot further than the talent does.
It's interesting to hear David Humphreys on this topic, because he very much feels, as we see George Smith return to the field for Bristol, he feels that this is a side that's still learning how to win, actually. And you see that clearly with situations last week at the Rec. We saw it in the Challenge Cup final in Bilbao against Cardiff, threw away a big lead. There's not yet that belief, that confidence that they belong right at the very top table. You look at the personnel and you think, well, surely they will. But they need time together, in Humphreys' view, to properly blend into that title contending side.
That's it. It's time, it's stability of recruitment and retention. Releasing the right players, getting rid of the right players, frankly, is another key skill. It's also coaching, bit of luck with injuries.
12 Trees. Woodwards.
Oh. Didn't quite get hold of that, Woodward, did he? Just juggled it a bit, couldn't get that ball away.
5. Good.
Cipriani to Murray. Honek.
Didn't make a lot of ground, but it was still a good carry.
Armstrong sent onto his backside. We've got a man down.
He's clearly...
I wonder if Armstrong's hurt himself. He's got a physio with him. Well, not hurt himself, been hurt by Honek. That collision. He looks a bit wobbly.
He does a little bit, doesn't he? But in the meantime, we're looking at Stephen Luatua, who Bristol can ill afford to lose. Let's have a word with Pat Lamb, the Bristol director of rugby. Pat, you had... oh, he's gone.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be your ball.
Oh.
Well, he might have gone because his reserve tight head might have just been knocked out. Oh, there he is.
Pat, can you hear me? Not currently.
I think he can.
I think he can. He just doesn't like you.
Yeah.
If it was Nick Mullins, he'd speak to you.
I think he's got other things on his mind just at the moment. That's his captain. That's the All Black in the back row, who played such a key part in that first try for Bristol through Morahan, that offload, and he's smiling. I think he's going to be all right.
Something that Bristol have done really well today defensively is have their first 3 defenders lined up against Danny at first receiver. He's so good at double loading one defender, but you can only do that if someone steps out. So all they do is go man on man for the first 3. We've seen this time and time again for most of the phases that Gloucester have done. If Gloucester can get Danny out the back and they stand 12 trees at first receiver, it's a different organisation for the defence. But they've done very, very well defensively to shut down that 1-2-3 channel outside Danny.
So Jake Armstrong is coming off currently, presumably for a head injury assessment. So does that mean we've got uncontested scrums now, given that Afoa was off for a head injury assessment?
You're happy that you're like Loosehead can play tight end, and then he can play loosehead to maintain contested scrums.
We'll find that out in just a moment or two. Let's have a word with Pat Lamb. Pat, you set off so well. You had such a strong opening half, 10 points up. Slightly different picture in this second period. Is the discipline the thing that's costing you the most, in your view?
Oh, without a doubt. We're talking about it up here. You know, 17-5. It's easy yards. There was an issue in the first half as well. That, you know, we allowing them into our ground too early with silly penalties.
And Pat, you've had your share of troubles on the injury front. Are you concerned about the situation in the front row currently?
Yeah, you always are. You know, with certainly, you know, like Jan Thomas will have to go over and do the tight head side. But yeah, certainly any injury is always a concern. But you know, you can't do anything about it. You just got to adapt and move on.
And you've seen enough resilience, enough character from your side over the last couple of weeks, I'm sure, to feel that this is not an insurmountable hill.
Oh, without a doubt. It's, as I said to the boys, the only way back into the game is not trying to make it happen, it's just get back into our systems. We haven't had any much ball at all, and a lot of that comes back to our penalty. We get the ball, and like our defence is holding well, but we don't want to be down the other end by silly penalties. But we get the ball, then we can play.
Pat, thanks for your time.
Cheers, guys.
So the switch around in the front row means that Thomas is on the tight head, as Pat was telling us, and Jake Wilmore on the loose head side now for Bristol. Here's Balmain for Gloucester.
I'd like to see Gloucester bring on Velicott now, just to up the speed at the breakdown. It's a great pass again.
Another one, Cipriani to Sharples. It's the latest in a long chain of extraordinary passes from Cipriani. Smith had a little sniff at the breakdown there, but the Cherry and Whites are off and running again. Murray. Cipriani, that was flat at best, forward at worst. Forward, says Tom Foley.
Contest wasn't good at the previous breakdown. Lamb was all over the ball. Look at this pass, though. Again, don't step in on the outside. You don't step in, there's no pass. Got to pick someone off tighter. He's already numbered off defensively. You can see his eyes there. Look, he's thinking, oh no, why did I go for that?
That is...
And he will have seen, just like everybody else saw, that extraordinary pass on the opening weekend. But it's the pinpoint accuracy that does so much damage. Trinder is off, Atkinson is on for Gloucester.
And now the thing with this defence is great players like Cipriani cause elite pros to do things they know they're not supposed to do. They make you panic. That's the point. That's how these errors happen. So Jan Thomas has gone over to the tight head. He'll have got that question that every loose head fears. Can you cover the tight head? You want to say no, but you know that you said yes to get the contract you wanted and get an extra couple of quid on top. So you say yes and dig in. Done a good job there.
Loaded early, Gloucester. Loaded early.
Free kick taken early by Sturzaker. Pietau flings it out for Edwards.
Winger off! No, it was off the red hand backwards.
Vui, Thomas, slung out rather sloppily by Tusi Pisi. That's a horrible pass for Sheedy, who watches it roll on by. Vui is there. Needless to say, he's been outstanding tonight, Chris Vui. Pietau. Sheedy.
Oh.
PC again, throwing massive miss passes 5 metres from the try line. Luatua is on hand.
I tell you what, we said they shouldn't do it 5 minutes in, or I did, was proved wrong in the first half. If that's what you're going to do, if everyone's in and committed, and you're fresh enough to get the numbers to the breakdown and recycle that ball, have a go at it.
Still they play. Still they go. Thacker wrapped up. Sturzaker. The crowd's baying for blood.
What Gloucester haven't got in this scenario, though, is a sweeper. There's nobody in behind at all.
Yeah, Woodward is a long, long way back, behind halfway, waiting for the clearance kick. Are these passes going to stick? Luatua, was that forwards? Morahan evades the tacklers, but it was. Well, you've got to admire the endeavour, the adventure. They're staying true to their attacking DNA. Sometimes it's paying off, others, like this time, it doesn't.
You don't know whether to admire it, though, do you, or to completely disagree with it?
Yeah, but I think a few minutes into this game, and a couple of times against Sarries last week, I'm thinking they just can't do this all season. I think that you do have to balance it with pragmatic / less adventurous rugby. But certainly in the latter stages of that first half, quarter of an hour onwards, it really worked for them. They really got wide nicely. They created space. They didn't just stick around the midfield and be predictable. So I think at times in the first half, they looked really good at it.
Josh Honeck is making way. He's been replaced by the 20-year-old loosehead Alex Seville, England under-20s prop, and James Hansen, the Australian international, on for Franco Murray at hooker. Bristol have switched Ed Holmes in for Joe Joyce in the second row.
So Jan Thomas on the tight head now, out of position, doing a good job, but he's got some young, aggressive England 20s prop, the chip on his shoulder. You just want to pin him down and keep him there now.
Guys, just looking at the makeup of that back line, if you can get Banahan into that 3, it means defensively you don't know who to take.
They're working it through the pack first. Atkinson tries to slide through. Brayley gathers. Ackerman. Brayley again, darting forwards. Little by little. Hansen, they're getting close. Next try brings the bonus point. That's what they're after. Organisation and calm required, and they got it. It had to come. The bonus point bagged. Ed Slater looked like the man at the bottom, and the captain delivering that extra point. They've been dominant in this second period. They've looked very strong from close quarters, and importantly, unlike the first half, they've taken their chances.
Well, it's Chris Fury again, goes for the big hit on Slater, but he hits him too high, hits him with his chest, or just bounces off. Really strong from Slater, well backed up by Pellegrini. This Gloucester pack, the last 20 minutes, the last 23 minutes, has properly stepped up, properly delivered.
It's clever from Slater, isn't it? Gets the ball on his outside arm, left arm, shoved his right arm across the body to get Fury off the contact point. I said it before, if you play rugby in your own 22 in the Gallagher Premiership, for more than 6 or 7 phases, you're going to fatigue your pack, turn over possession and concede points. And whilst I love seeing running rugby, you've got to be clever.
One will slide on by, but that is 24 unanswered points for Gloucester, trailing 13-3 at the break, now with a bit of breathing space. Johan Ackerman still looks disgruntled though, no doubt greatly relieved but frustrated. More changes. Knight, Clark and Velicott have been deployed from the bench, and here is Velicott. Morahan waits. Flattened by Ludlow. Wilmore, signed from Jersey in the summer, alongside Jake Armstrong. Oh, a good little burst from Ed Holmes. Started the opening match against Bath at Ashton Gate. Sturzaker sees half a hole. And it's George Smith who's singled out again for what he was hoping might have been a canny little blocking play.
Well, you don't get caught very often for those, do you? So you can see why he tried it.
"38 years old. You were telling me at half-time, Flats, George Smith had started for Australia in the 2003 World Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, someone tweeted me that, which means it's definitely true. So if I'm wrong, they're wrong. If I'm right, it's my fact. But if he did, I feel like I've given you a false fact now. I didn't know you were going to read it out on the telly, Al. No, it's true. And he was 36 then. It was amazing. What a story.
He's become so smart in and around the ruck, hasn't he, as Atkinson looks to break free here.
He's not on the ball, leave it!
Thacker thinking about it. Jake Armstrong, by the way, will not be returning for Bristol. The HIA has been failed as Slater bundles his way forwards again, but forwards, says Tom Foley. Slater's not having it.
Keep on top.
They didn't think it was, did they? Yeah, it's forward.
Let's go, scrum now.
The thing is, they truly believe that it wasn't. It's funny what you can convince yourself of when you're out there. He still doesn't, look.
I didn't think you had to sleep.
He'll watch it tonight when he can't sleep because all the adrenaline in his system, all the coffees pre-match. And he'll realise the truth.
Big turnaround from that first half of territory. 75% this time around. Played in the Bristol half, and they're feeling it on the scoreboard now. Sturzaker with the feed. They're under the pump at scrum time. O'Connor. Sturzaker keen to steal those extra metres through the middle of the ruck. One more infringement, yet another penalty. That's 16, I believe, now.
3 on the bounce for George Smith.
Well,
if he gives another one, it's a red.
Well, this is it. And that won't be rescinded.
Hang on.
He will take a yellow card and a red card in.
Well, he might do a masterclass and get off.
True. Yeah. He is George Smith, after all. And he's having to pull rabbits out of hats, isn't he, at the breakdown now for Bristol. He's having to scavenge for just that extra bit longer than he might ordinarily.
So watch Smith coming in on the left. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that.
There is nothing wrong with that. There is not a player on that
from
field
behind the ball
who wouldn't do exactly that. He's removing a threat.
That is a silly penalty.
That's no penal. There you go. If he gets another one and gets a red, he'll get off on that. That's the masterclass. Done.
There you go.
You're the expert witness.
Yeah.
Twelvetrees driving Gloucester towards the finish line.
Looks like he's changed his technique a bit, doesn't he? He's very, very straight, lost a bit of length, but his accuracy's been excellent so far this season. He was kicking them from his own 10-metre line a couple of years ago.
Pelledri met well.
Mind on, good.
That's the hit they've been wanting to put on Pelledri for the last hour and a bit. Really solid, George Smith.
That was from Nick Haining, who's freshly on the field for Bristol. O'Connor looking to get around the outside of Twelvetrees. There is no outside. Quick ball for Sheedy. PC. And again, Bristol running down one or two blind alleys. Sturzaker. Luatua. Thomas.
No way through.
That door was very firmly shut, wasn't it? Sheedy, PC. And good work from Cipriani on Siali Pietau snuffed out the threat quickly, but away they come again, Bristol. Edwards. Yellow line, the gain line. So a lot of hard work through the phases. Not an awful lot to show for it. Again, they're caught. Morahan. And this time, the whistle goes Bristol's way, which is not something they've heard an awful lot of. Smith and Ackerman getting to know each other a little better. Well, it is a West Country derby.
What you need here is a Nick Abenderdam, that pre-match feature with Matt Banahan. You need someone running in from the back and smacking their own player right in the chops with their eyes shut. Just for comedy value.
Let's have a listen to this. Just a gentle word. Sheedy. To put that nicely into position, Callum Sheedy, but Piers O'Connor's needing treatment now. And he's going to be replaced by Zane Kirchner, a South African who's arrived from the Dragons on just a 4-week loan. And from a Bristol perspective, they will be hoping beyond hope that O'Connor is not badly injured, because their resources at fullback are not quite what they were. Line-out's gone awry now as well. Ben Morgan's on the field. Here he is. He's gone to number 8. Ackerman's moving up into the lock position. Kieran Knight. Velicott, and it's gone forwards. So the game just breaking up over the course of the last few minutes. A lot of errors creeping in. And another change being made. Tom Hudson is on. And he's replacing Charlie Sharples. 2 tries this evening. Restored to fitness. A fan's favourite. And 50 up in the Gallagher Premiership.
Do you know Charlie Sharples was the 22nd man to score 50 tries in the Prem? Did you know that?
Who was the 21st?
It was Mark Cueto.
Not the first, I said 21st.
Say it with a gusto, Flats.
No, I'm joking, it was Tom Bondell. You can't disprove it because you won't bother. I don't know who it was.
Our own Hugo Monye's in the sights of Sharples now, 52. Won't be long. How many do you score, Oz?
I think it was 87.
Sturzacker. Caught by Gloucester a little high, so Bristol with the advantage.
Penalty advantage.
Sheedy, little touch on the ball from Atkinson. Vui's got hold of it.
Thank you, good work.
And now some possibilities. Sheedy again threatening the line. Cipriani with the tackle. Oh, Sheedy's been allowed to go again. And we're back for the previous offence. That high shot. Looking for instruction, seemingly, from the touchline.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? When you got fly halves looking at the coaches kneeling on the sign saying, what do you want, what do you want? Interesting dynamic, that.
And at this stage, surely the The penalty's no good to them. 5 minutes to play. Bristol back on the attack though. Here's Thacker.
Over 15.
Right to the tail, nicely claimed, and Smith with a bullet pass for Siali Piatau. Sturzaker. Wilmore. Haining. Try last week against Saracens. Wilmore again. Tour.
No, 7, get out!
Ludlow has to back off. Quickly on from Sheedy in a very cluttered midfield. Piatau has swallowed up pieces in the middle of all of that as well. And now Vui has to try to provide another target. Ludlow over the top, burrowing for the ball and coming up with the turnover.
Well, Vui just gets spun, doesn't he? Back to the inside. He does well to get the turnover because he's got the tape over his eyes, so he couldn't actually see. So this would be a double turnover for him on the stats, but I think Vui's had an excellent game. A lot of hard work, lots of carrying, lots of ground covered. But great turnover for Gloucester. Just whilst we're on the subject, it was Johnny May who was the 21st person to score 50 tries.
Told you.
Use the line, guys, please.
Statastic.
Yeah, good turnover that from Ludlow. Made easy because Vui, was twisted and isolated, therefore on the floor. I agree, Vui's been really, really good tonight. Defensively, really strong.
Nice line-out ball provided by Freddie Clark. Cipriani bringing Pelledri in, and, well, he tackled himself there.
He fell over, it still beats him.
Bellicott, Morgan, Hansen.
Lovely line, that. Really good ball from Morgan as well.
Wicked line ball, shortly offside Bristol.
He thinks he's playing for Gloucester.
What? Oh my God! Oh. It's quick off the line. Usain's in.
Well, he's got some chat, Nick Haining.
I reckon he might be just a little bit offside. He's already making the tackle before the pass is there.
He's so fast off the line, he beats the ball.
I'm looking at the ball.
That sprint training's working off, Nick. Looking good, mate.
I'm just fast off the line.
I love that. It's marginal. It's marginal anyway on reflection. So there we are.
Bind.
Well, we'll have your man of the match verdict in a minute, Oz, and maybe Nick Haining's just shot it to contention with his line speed. Loose from Sturzaker, ended up with PC, Piatau, and forwards Kirchner. Thacker, clobbered. What a great tackle that was, perfectly timed by Kieran Knight. Sheedy still trying, and the offload working beautifully. That was absolutely fantastic, and a really good burst here from Kirchner to the 22. Bristol pressing again. Sheedy.
No, nothing.
He's looked lively, and even in this, what we assume to be a losing cause, it's encouraging to see the adventure still at the heart of the Bristol ethos, even if the ball now has gone forwards.
Well, it's a shame that with Bristol, Sheedy has looked really lively. He's looked difficult to defend, full of ideas. That was a lovely little couple of bits of interplay in the midfield. Really nice skill.
Time for the Gallagher Premiership man of the match. I think Sharple's obviously 2 tries. Welcome back for what was an unfortunate incident from last week. Mahrez, I think, carried really well up front. We've spoken about Slater a lot, again, led by example, but you simply cannot look past Jake Pelledri. 19 carries, 11 tackles. The guy is a physical specimen, and he's our Gallagher Premiership man of the match. Well played.
One who slipped through the England net, snapped up by Conor O'Shea, made his debut for Italy in the Six Nations. One that got away from the Red Rose. Freddie Clark making really good ground off the bench. An excellent surge from the new man, Cipriani. Kirchner buying into the whole
And Ludlow's shoulder.
idea of chance your arm from anywhere. Clock's in the red. Still they come until the drop, and maybe Gloucester have one last say here. Pelledri gathered over it. Big, strong, powerful effort from Morgan. Ludlow denied. Velikot goes wider, and into the corner goes Balahan. He'll celebrate. And Tom Foley is happy with the grounding. It's all about the touchline.
Good ball across the front, wasn't it? Left foot.
Oh.
It's good.
Good finish.
Brilliant finish.
Try for Balahan. Just as last week at the Rec, a late effort to put a little gloss on the scoreline for David Humphreys and Johan Ackermann. Record try scorer for Bath, now 2 in 3 for his new club. It's all going nicely.
Still smiling. It was a lovely finish, that nice ball across the front, and that was delicate work for a big old lump out there. Well played.
Again, nice little touch from Pelledri to set up that final ruck. And there aren't too many better from that kind of range. Gloucester still unbeaten then, after 3 games, top of the league for tonight at least. The Ackermann project building nicely, even if the first half was